Good morning. It's been a while. I'm working, so it's hard to be able to balance everything. I'm learning a lot. I'm getting my life coach. I'm learning about life coaching, so I'm really excited about this because this is something that, as an ExJW, I think it's beneficial for me as well as for others. So it's self-work as well as being able to help others, and I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, I'm learning a lot, and that takes time. It also takes mind space. And I love that I did a whole month for Pride Month. It was so much fun. I had so much fun doing that. Sorry for the noise. You're going to hear a lot of noise. There's things going up and down and around. It is probably, let's see, what time is it? It's 8:45. So, yeah. And I did my walk, and I have my camo. I love my camo. Now I can buy camo. Because, as witnesses, we never did, right? It was a sign of, war or whatever, and so you have to be neutral. All those little things, right? So when I left, I went and bought myself a whole outfit, and a couple of outfits actually. So yeah, it's funny the things that we don't do, and then when we realize it's not a big deal and we can do what we want and we can have our own minds about it. Yay, I did it. And I walked for about 20 minutes. So about 5,000 steps. That's what I'm trying to do every day. It's not that bad. It really isn't. And it's just probably about a good 10 minutes. And then in the morning or 10 minutes in the evening, which I am trying to do. So, but it can be about 20 minutes and I can enjoy it, right? You don't have to go blustering through it. Here we go. Let me just go ahead and start reading. Just letting you know what I'm doing. August 25th. The Buddha preached a doctrine which demands an in-depth analysis of suffering, and it causes as a means of bringing about suffering's end and, therefore, of ushering in a new and lasting peace, tranquility, and insightfulness. Jan Willis, born 1948. Professor Willis teaches and writes about religion and Buddhism at Wesleyan University. Buddhism encourages in-depth analysis of our suffering. For Buddhists, the flip side of the suffering coin is enlightenment, not happiness. Wisdom, perspective, and context convert suffering into insight. Is a fearless personal inventory needed to prevent relapse? Firstly, no. Many people suffer through sobriety. Secondly, doing step 4 to avoid relapse is a fearful inventory. Think of how much more we can learn if we search fearlessly. Step 4 or 10, done fearlessly, ends our suffering and replaces it with insight. Longing for something, no matter how petty or virtuous, or wishing for an outcome, be it righting an injustice or getting public approval, deprives us of serenity. Longing always brings suffering. Loathing brings equal suffering. Judging experiences through the ego-based lens of wants attaches us to favorable circumstances and helps us avoid adversity. Our egos write us shopping lists of what we deserve and how we expect others should respond to us. Life doesn't follow our bidding. The universe unfolds without concern for us. The Serenity Prayer invites us to accept what comes, take responsibility for our contributions to the world, and to focus on the difference between intention and outcome. Acceptance is not resignation. It is acknowledging that we can't control everything. Accepting is love with a healthy detachment. Even with the things in life we feel that we must muster the courage to change. By first accepting our challenge and our own lack of omnipotence, we gain we can gain understanding that will greatly aid our courageous efforts. Do I frustrate myself by placing expectations on myself and others? So, as Jehovah's Witnesses, we always thought suffering would be brought to an end by Jehovah, right? And the earth would be a peaceful and beautiful place. And let's face it, all of us would want something like that, right? It would be nice if we could all get along and enjoy peace on the earth. Unfortunately, through history, it seems like has never really truly been possible in portions of the earth. It's never been that way. And now that I don't believe in any God, I realize that there's always going to be some sort of catastrophe or fighting or suffering that as a human being, I don't have any control over it. So I think as far as learning to convert suffering into insight, as it says, wisdom, perspective, and context convert suffering into insight, right? So I think as a human being, I see that as, okay, look at our past so we don't repeat it, right? So we don't repeat it. Look at our history so that we don't repeat it, and find out where we could make changes and do better. And I think sobriety under circumstances of suffering takes great courage, because it's always easier to numb yourself and not feel the pain. It's hard to feel it, and it's scary. But then I don't think that we have to suffer. It says, done fearlessly, step 4 or 10, done fearlessly ends our suffering and replaces it with insight. I can't remember what step 4 and 10, you probably do. But I think suffering can give you, if you're in an emotional place that you can take it. When you're undergoing suffering, it's hard to see what is beneficial about it, right? What is beneficial about it? Insight comes later, after it's done, because when you're in the middle of it, you're in pain. You don't want it. And there is no thinking about how, you're not sitting there thinking how to look at it. You're just going through it. It's like a wave. You don't have a choice. You're on it. You're gonna get hit by it. There's nothing you can do. How do you find wisdom in that at that point? It's just feeling the pain through it, going through it. And then afterwards, when you're in your quiet spaces and you can actually think, then you realize, oh, okay, I can try and understand why this happened to me, or try and understand how to get through it. And that's when you have friends or organizations that can help you get through it, right? So it's not an easy situation to go through when you're going through it. Longing for something, no matter how petty or virtuous, or wishing for an outcome, being it righting an injustice or getting public approval, deprives us of serenity. And I think that's the point. When you're going through something, somebody always has an opinion about how you should do it. But you have to really sit quietly with it and think about it. And then figure out, well, what's good for you, right? You can't do something based on what somebody else thinks about your situation. You have to do it on your own. You have to figure it out, because everybody's circumstances are different. And everybody deals with problems differently. What I have learned, though, is that if you have a problem, you can see it, there are many answers to the problem. You don't have to think of it in just a linear view. There are many answers to the same problem. It's getting different insight, going to a library, getting a book on what you're looking for or on the problem. If you have a certain something going on in your body and you go to a doctor and they don't know the answer, then you have to go and look for it. You have to find it. And I think that's where Al-Anon comes in. You know, if you're alone and you're feeling like you don't have anyone to talk to, you can't afford a therapist, right? I mean, that's how it is in the United States of America. It's unfortunate. Mental health isn't considered a problem because, I mean, it is, but it's not addressed properly. And we're going through a lot. All of us are going through a lot. If you're leaving the organization, you're having, you know, different issues with your family members. It's hard. It's not easy. And trauma, the trauma that comes with leaving in this organization as an ex-Jehovah's Witness or as a PMO stuck, right? Physically in, mentally out, you're stuck. It's okay. You know, you're not the only one. I think that's the important thing to remember, is that you're not the only one. And there are other families out there with family members that are suffering, young and old. So acceptance is not resignation. That's what it says. Acceptance is not resignation. It is acknowledging that we can't control everything. And that, for me, is that's it, right? You can't, there's nothing we can do. We love these people and they love us. I was the one that was in for so long. I was the one that was a Nazi Jehovah's Witness. Really. I mean, think about it. A lot of the things that they teach are very hateful. Really. They're very hateful. It's not a good thing. They say that it's love, but love is unconditional, right? It's unconditional and it's intentional. And I've learned that now, right? I don't know how I could have left my children. So it's good that they have their own views on life. It's good. And as a parent, it's important for me to love unconditionally. So that is something that I really had to think about. Accepting is love with a healthy detachment. Even with the things in life we feel that we must muster the courage to change, by first accepting our challenge and our own lack of omnipotence, we can gain understanding that will greatly aid our courageous efforts. So for me, when I left, I didn't feel hatred for people who I left behind. I did detach with love, right? I miss them. I wish that they would have not been so fearful to talk to me, because that's basically what it was. They were in fear about talking to me. What could I have done? I can't make them change into my views. You can never make anyone change. They have to do that on their own. And I wish it wasn't that. I wish it wasn't that difficult, right? I wish you could give someone something that they could read or that they could watch, and then it would just open their minds, right? And then they would automatically see how this organization is such a debilitating way of thinking and feeling, and the actions that they take for when people don't want to do what they are told. The actions that this organization takes to those people, and people who think freely, people who want to live freely, how they treat them, and how they treat their children isn't loving. It's not kind. They think it is, but it's not. When children are on their own and have to be kicked out of their homes underage because they've been baptized at 12, wrong. They made an adult decision, and they weren't adults. And even as adults, I mean, 18 years old is what the United States considers an adult. But frontal cortex isn't fully developed until age 23. So it takes a long time for us to grow up. Anyway, I thought I wanted to do this on Thursday because I thought Thankful Thursdays, right? But Friday, I didn't get it done yesterday. And I thought, hey, you know what? I want to continue because I don't want to give up on this. I think it's really important for us to get healthy. And I like healthy, I like healthy views of life and doing things that keep my body healthy, my mind healthy. And the mind is amazing. That is what I'm learning, how amazing the mind is and how strong we are. So we could be in wheelchairs, we can have limbs chopped off, we can have so many things happen to our actual bodies, but our brains are so strong. And keeping that brain nice and healthy is really important. And we can go through a lot of things with our body, but our brains, even our brains, when you can have a stroke, but another portion of the brain could work and help you get through that. So our brains are pretty strong, and you can get through difficult things with our brains. So on that note, let me know Thursday or Friday, because I'm going to try and do it twice a week, but that's shooting for that high, because I'm busy and I'm trying to get things done and learning, and that process takes time and quiet time. So I think I can realistically do it maybe once a week. And this way I still keep in touch, and I'm not going to Al-Anon meetings anymore. My girlfriends that I normally meet, I'm not doing it because I'm busy and working. And so this is where I'm going to center, because I need it just as much as you do. This is the first time I went through this. Buddhism is something I'm not really familiar with, but I don't like Buddhism at all, especially what they do to the little boys that end up having to be taken away from their families. But like I said, we've heard it before on talks, cafeteria Christians, right? Well, hey, I'm a cafeteria girl, man. I like taking bits and pieces of different things and where it fits in for me, right? Al-Anon's really great about that. And get what you can out of it and leave the rest, right? Just leave it. If it's not good for you, good. Let it go. And hopefully I'm not offensive to anyone. If I am, I apologize, but I'm not going to get along with everyone, right? We learn that in Al-Anon. It's okay. You don't have to get along with everyone. And to me, sometimes that's a good thing, not getting along with everyone. So I don't want to be a group thinker anymore. I want to have my own thoughts and my own mind and be able to make my own decisions and if somebody doesn't like it, too bad. Well, I hope this helps you on your healing journey. Follow your bliss.